What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lose Your Ass podcast. Guys, we have a very special treat for you tonight. We're going to be bringing on ex-Pittsburgh Steeler, first-round pick, two-time Super Bowl champion, Kendall
Two-time,
Simmons.
two-time All-SEC player, currently working for Auburn right now. He was the number 2 offensive lineman prospect in Mississippi. This guy is big news. We're so excited to have him on to talk about all college football, and, of course, his rings. So let's let him on. Hey, oh, he's all war eagled out. We love it.
What's going on, man?
How you doing? Good to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Kendall, thanks for being here. So before we get started, I just want to tell you a quick story.
Huh?
I was in Milwaukee last year at the Harley-Davidson Museum, and this girl in front of me as we were leaving signs the guest book, and she wrote Roll Tide under her name.
Yeah.
So I had to go in and sign it. Burn here tonight.
I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's bad 3 words to say, man. I don't like that at all. The RT, we don't say that in our house.
We like that. So before we get started on your amazing NFL career, your amazing college career, I want to start with your beginnings in Mississippi. Obviously, you were a baseball player and a basketball player as well. How does a Mississippi boy end up in Auburn?
Well, honestly, I look at Ole Miss like Alabama. My sister went to Mississippi State, so that was the only way I was going to Ole Miss is if I didn't have any other offers. That was the only way that was going to happen. And it 2 things happened with that. He really didn't show interest. He came to one of my high school games when we were playing Amory, Mississippi. And Amory hadn't been beat in 3 years. They had won the state championship 3 years in a row and was unbeaten in 3 years. They came to our home field and absolutely destroyed us. Like 55-0. But that game I had like 11 tackles, three of them for loss, a sack, and 2 forced fumbles, and one of them recovered. So my coach told me, he said, look, if you want to make a mark, he said, because look up in the stands. And we had like 3 or 4 scouts there, and Coach Tobill came to the game. He said, they're not here to watch you. They're here to watch 9 D1s on offense and like 8 on defense. And I said, okay. So, and probably about a couple weeks after that, the very first big letter I got was from Tennessee, which is who we playing this weekend.
Who you're beating this weekend.
But there you go. I like that.
That's a great story.
Yeah, so that's how I mean, and then also the coach from Auburn, Coach Trick, who recruited me, he came to my high school all the time. It seemed like he was there every like 2 or 3 weeks. It seemed like, because he was coaching in Mississippi State, so he had the area. And him and my dad, like, and I mean, they hit it off perfect. He was Green Beret. My dad was in Vietnam. He knew that I was gonna go somewhere that was gonna, be hard on me. It was gonna be the discipline, and wasn't gonna let me get away with anything. So it was perfect.
That's awesome.
All right. So fast forward a little bit here, Kendall. It's the first round pick, number 30. What was it like to hear your name called?
This day, I've been done playing for about 10 years now, and still it's one of them things where I didn't care if it was a 7th round or free agent. I just wanted the opportunity to be able to play. And that's the same way I looked at when I signed at Auburn. Just give me a chance to play. I really don't care. I love ball, and that's the way I saw it. And so it's just unbelievable. And the team has been great to me since day one, and still, it's great to me to this day.
Awesome. That's awesome. We talked a little bit about your Auburn experience. With COVID happening this year, you were a first-round pick. I was interested to hear what you think about guys opting out. Would you have opted out? I mean, I think about Trevor Lawrence, who had just caught COVID and he's going back. Would you? I know that there's a brotherhood, but what would you have done in this situation? And I know you work for Auburn, so.
I mean, and besides all that, I'd have kept playing ball.
Mm-hmm.
Just the opportunity to play. What these guys are not going to realize until years down the road is you can't get that time back.
Absolutely.
You really can't. I understand to a degree what they're thinking, but you cannot get the time back with your college teammates. And this right now is such an odd time that it will be one of those times that will stick out to you more than the times beforehand, just because of what you had to go through just to play 8, 9, 10 games.
Yeah.
Because of what it was just to get ready for it. But this one, starting and stopping, sticking together, schedule changing, sacrificing your college time, because right now you need to stay away from people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in general, all of us need to do a better job of protecting ourselves and being considerate of other people's well-being. But as a college athlete right now, you are being really basically your year of college is being taken away from you to a degree for you to play ball. And that's a sacrifice you have to make of getting a big time scholarship or a scholarship in general. That's just a sacrifice you have to make. This is one of those years that will stick out to you more than anything. I personally wouldn't have done it. And we talk about it a lot of times in our coaching staff room. What's the difference in opting out and quitting on your team? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And y'all might have a different point of view on that, and that's fine. But, I mean, you kind of have to look at it. You put in all this time and all this work, and then all of a sudden you just decide that, you know what, now I'm good. I'm going to worry about trying to make it to the next level. That next level ain't even guaranteed to you.
Exactly.
To me, to somebody who is pretty much probably could be the first pick overall, unless you have that type of status, why not finish out your last year with your guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't get that time back. So that's kind of how I see it.
That's a good way of thinking. And that's why we had someone on the other night, and I asked the same question, because as fans, we're like, money, but it's more than just that. When you're thinking about, this could be, the last time you play with these guys that you've played with for 4 years. So it's always good to get like a player's perspective of that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Kendall, you spoke a little bit about opportunity, about getting the opportunity to be drafted. You didn't care if you got drafted first round or seventh or undrafted. You got that opportunity to play with Pittsburgh, and you took that opportunity and ran it all the way to 2 Super Bowl rings. What was that moment touching the Lombardi Trophy like for you?
It's still undescribable. It really is. I don't remember the game even today, because it happened. It was like a blur. I got 2 memories from that game. When Jeffrey kicked the ball off and all the flash bulbs went off. I mean, it's undescribable. TV doesn't do any justice, because it seemed like the whole stadium just lit up like fireworks from people taking pictures. And the end of the game, when my oldest daughter is 16 now, she was 1.5 then, and me getting her out of the stands and her freaking out because she had never been near me in my full uniform. So she was like, who in the world is this? And she started crying. So I was like, it's just me, And I had to get my wife out the stands, and then watching my little girl run around. And so anything. When I watch the game, I could give you all kinds of stuff after I watch it, but it's just really undescribable, to be honest with you. It was because the year before, 2 years before that, the second year of my year in the league, I got diagnosed with diabetes. Next year, I tore my ACL. So 2 hard years, and been able to start every game from training camp all the way to the end of the season. That it was perfect.
Absolutely. You definitely have overcome a lot. We were reading up on that, the diabetes, ACL tear. I believe I also read that you tore your Achilles at one point.
A total of in 8 years, man, I've had 15 surgeries.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So honestly, it was almost like 2 every off season. And I never played a season where I felt 100% other than my rookie year.
Wow.
Dealing with diabetes and then and the other injuries and surgeries and stuff. It was definitely God who got me through all.
So you bring up your daughter Kendall. My friend here, James, in September had his first baby girl, Gianna. Can you give him some advice on? Yeah, I think you have 3 little girls, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So can you give him advice on his beautiful daughter that he just had?
I'm gonna tell you now. He might well give up the tough act. It's hard to be tough on him. You're gonna have to because you are become public enemy number 1 with your wife if you don't. So it's really hard. But I tell you, I feel like every man needs a girl.
Yes.
But one, because it shows you, it softens you up. And then when they start to get older and you start seeing little boys starting to look, and when you was in 8th, 7th, 8th grade, and you start seeing girls and paying attention to them, mm-hmm. and that kind of blood starts to boil a little bit, it changes you. Yeah. It does, because now my daughter is 5'9", and going into her junior year, it's amazing how much she's grown that quickly from when you talked about the Super Bowl to asking me, can she drive 5-6 hours? And I'm like, no, you can't drive that. Even part of me to let her do it, be protective. Card, because she's gonna learn the number to your debit card by the time she's 3, because mine did, and it's just try to do your best to say no at least once a week and stick to it, even though it's gonna be hard for you not to, but you're gonna have to.
Yeah, how do I get these muscles here? Just for
just for the boys.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, man. I told my daughters, I said, look, I'm not gonna stop lifting or doing anything until all of y'all out the house. As soon as you one's coming over, I'm making sure I got a wife beater on, I got a good sweat going, and everything else, just to let them know Daddy still got a little something left in the tank if you want to act silly. That's the plan. So if not, then I got my little boy in there. I'm gonna make sure he's ready to go for him if he needs to.
Kendall, you spoke about your injuries a little bit, and the current Steelers are 9-0 with Big Ben at the helm, another man who has overcome some injuries. What can you say about the durability coming through these injuries and leading the Steelers to 9-0 this season?
It's a testament to the man upstairs, first of all.
Yep.
Secondly, his work ethic, and the Steelers taking great care of it. And it's just you see guys like that, man, and that's just a God-given thing. That just don't happen. Peyton Manning made as long as he did. You see Tom Brady, who's still playing. Drew Brees is still playing. And that's just amazing, man. It really is, and it just shows you you take care of your body and you invest in it, and hopefully have a little belief in you. Then you can make it a long time. And just got to get the ball at your hand too. And Ben has survived a lot of it. It's because of how big he is. But I know now he's getting rid of the ball a little bit faster than he used to, because he can't fight people off like he used to. So it's getting out of his hand a little faster than he used to.
Did Big Ben make it a little bit easier for you, knowing that in case somebody slipped past you?
You know what? It did, but I ain't gonna lie to you, it was frustrating as hell too. Because he would run around back there, and I'm like, man, throw the ball.
I was young too. Like,
yeah,
in his younger years.
Yeah, to a degree, it was great, but then also you made our jobs harder because it made us. We had to run around a little bit more too, just because of that. But you knew that if somebody got by you, if it was just one guy, he's gonna have a hell of a time trying to get him down. He really would. He really did.
So you talk about your Super Bowls, and just the Steelers' culture of winning. You hear a lot of things about these other NFL teams, like they need a culture change. They need a culture change. What was the culture like in the Steelers that made it? You won two Super Bowls with them. What was it like there that you were able to and winning seasons?
I tell you what, it was. Every team you're gonna have issues, and you're supposed to do your due diligence on guys and knowing what you're gonna put up with and what you're not gonna put up with. The one thing that I can say about the Steelers is you had to have some type of blue collar, hard nose about you to be able to make it. Were to the surface big time, you wasn't gonna make it long there. And they were gonna pay you, but it was gonna be within reason. One of the things was they wasn't gonna let you hold them hostage by holding out and demanding money. They done such they do such a great job of evaluating and bringing in guys that are gonna work and can eventually replace somebody and still not really miss a beat and keep going. That's one thing that Kevin Colbert and the Rooneys and all those guys did such a good job of evaluating. And that's gonna fit their mold and fit that city. So as long as the Rooneys are still owning that team and Kevin Colbert and them are running it, I don't think you're gonna ever have an issue with culture in that city at all.
Absolutely. So, current Auburn. Tell us a little about this Bo Nix. I really like him.
I like him as well.
Yeah. Bo's a good guy. He's a good guy, man. He's young, fiery. It's one of them things where he still has a lot to learn. And I think it's been great having Chad Morris come in just to kind of bring him back in a little bit. You know what I mean? And get him to where understanding how to read coverages. And you got to start learning how to be a quarterback. And every now and then you can kind of let stuff him in and get him to understand concepts. And there's nothing wrong with hitting the check down. You don't have to go for the big throw every time when you get the ball in your hands. So other than that, great kid. The guys love him. He's doing a good job of being a leader. The one thing that's been tough is him having to be a leader at such an early age.
Yeah.
And you being a quarterback coming in and having, big things put on your shoulders before you even get on campus,
Right.
you're automatically thrusted into being a leader. And I felt like that was kind of unfair to him in the beginning to earn that and become that guy. So he was kind of thrust into it a little early. And so he adjusted to it well, and he's still doing a good job of it.
It's also the toughest division in all of college football. He's going against guys from Bama that are certified first. I'm sorry, I said Bama.
No.
I didn't say RT. I didn't say RT. But guys from Bama, guys from Georgia that are Florida. That are great defenders, and that's just like for any sophomore. First off, you're 19, 20-year-old kid. You know what I mean? This is your first time probably out of your hometown, and you have the weight of a school on your shoulders. And I think that he does a really good job. I'm a big fan of his. I was a big fan of him when he upset Oregon in the first game of last season. He's something exciting to watch, I think, going forward. I don't think there's enough hype on him. I don't.
Well, you know what, though? Be honest with you, me personally, I would rather it stay that way.
Right.
At a young age, man, if you don't live up to it, it can really cripple you. Right. You know what I'm saying? So hype slowly builds. And, and maybe by the time you get done, you going into your senior year, there's a lot of hype around it, but you got so much experience under your belt that it doesn't cripple you. Because honestly, being in the coach's role now, fans could be really cruel. if you mess around here and you have a couple picks and, you lose to LSU or Florida or whoever, they don't really look at everybody else around you. Maybe the offensive line didn't play that well.
Right.
The receivers dropped some balls. Guys didn't run the right routes. But the quarterback, on your end of the field, and you lost by 3 points. Well, really, it's all your fault when, if you look back at the game, it really didn't. You made a critical mistake at a bad time. But if everybody else around you would have done their job, maybe it would have turned out and that pick wouldn't hurt you, at the end of the game. So there's little stuff like that you got to look at overall instead of just that one moment.
Brought up the SEC, obviously the playoff form. Typically 2 SEC teams are in. Do you think that this year will be the first year that we see like a non-Power 5 conference team get in with a team like Cincinnati and BYU playing well, or do you think it's going to stick with the Power 5 conferences, the playoffs?
You know what? That's a very good question. And we had this conversation all the time. And maybe the head coaches know better than I do anything else, because honestly, I don't know how they're going to be able to determine who's going to play in it.
Yeah.
Because of people starting so late. And some of them might not even finish their schedule the way things are going.
Oh, yeah. Big Ten and Pac-12 put themselves in a
left
very –
out completely.
They put themselves in a very bad position.
Yes, and I understand they have really good intentions, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But just like everything else, money makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Football runs a lot of schools, and schools have to survive off the money that they make from football. It's the truth. And I really applaud them for their efforts in the beginning, but they got pressured into it, and now you're behind the 8 ball, and now you're talking about playing non-conference.
Right.
You at the end of the deal when everybody else has played straight schedule, conference, but then also you look at some of the strengths in the conferences. They don't have such strong deals, so maybe it might not hurt them in the end like that. Nothing to the ACC, but you look at really Clemson only plays maybe a couple hard teams all year long.
Oh, we had this discussion not that long ago.
Yeah. So you think about who they're playing, and all they got to do is play people in their conference. You got a cakewalk for the most part.
Yeah.
And I said this, Auburn too, but I think like if you take Arkansas, who is, right now playing very well, but they just don't have the wins. I think if you put them in the ACC, they're a top 3 team in the ACC. It's just the way it is.
There you go.
They're not even close to a top 3 team in the SEC, but they are a top 3 team in the ACC for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I never thought about it like this because honestly, they had Georgia on the ropes, but they ran out of gas. You got to look at talent. They didn't have enough talent and enough depth to hang in there and stay in that game, because every time we look back at that film, Georgia was struggling against them.
Yeah. Georgia's having a rough year when it comes to some of their games.
Yeah.
A lot of close games that shouldn't have been close.
Yeah.
But
It's been a strange college football season.
It has.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you asked me in the question about guys opting out.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it special, but to me, it would make it such a special year because the year's been so strange.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter how it turns out for you, team record-wise, it's something that you won't forget just because of what you had to go through. So
you got Bama week coming up. And what's the atmosphere like with COVID-19 and everything? Is the atmosphere different than years past? And if so, how?
It's really hard to explain because it feels like a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
Walking up to the games because you're so used to Tiger Walk and people, at least between 25 and 30,000 people, if not more, lined up down the streets, giving guys high fives, getting you going, coming into the stadium. And now the guys are being ushered all the way up to the front of the stadium on buses.
Wow.
And getting off. And, and they it really makes it weird. The atmosphere in the stands is getting better. It's picking up, and I honestly think they're letting more people into the game slowly. So it's a little bit better. The first game, it wasn't bad. Scrimmage. to be honest with you.
Right. I got one more question for you. And then we'll let you go. I know you got to prepare for the games this week and next week. But for you, what advice would you have to say for like a high school student that is trying to get signed in the D1? Like what, especially offensive linemen like yourself, what's something that they can do to help their progress and help themselves keep getting better?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and it's something I've learned as playing in the league. And at one point, I was really thinking about going into scouting because I'm still intrigued, and you never know, I might end up trying it again with the front office and how the process goes in evaluating players. And they go into every nook and cranny and hole looking for players because those are the ones that have a chip on their shoulder and they're going to make it. I would give any kid this advice: do not worry about signing with a big school. Mm-hmm. If you play hard and you give it everything you got, you will be found and you will be seen. It's that simple.
Yeah. This is the alpha. They will find you.
They will find you. And technology nowadays, you're going to be seen. And it's that easy. It's that simple. Push yourself. Be honest with yourself. Know what your weaknesses are. And know, okay, well, but maybe I'm a late bloomer. Maybe I'm one of those guys that is going to take me 2, 3, 4 more years to reach my potential. You're going to be that guy, if that's the case, and that's what you're blessed with, that is going to last longer than the guy who's going to plateau once he gets to Auburn. That happens a lot where you got these supposed 5 stars that they've already hit their ceiling by the time they got there, and you can't get anything else out of them. That's there. It's those 2-stars and 3-star kids that are the best players because you can steadily develop them, and they got a chip on their shoulder. So I would tell kids, if that's the case, do not be worried about coming to a big school. Go, if you got to go to Troy, you got to go to Cincinnati, you got to go to, Austin Peay, wherever it may be. Go there and ball out because, for one, those are the teams that will end up playing teams like Auburn. Mm-hmm. And if you go out there and ball out against Auburn, guess what? Scouts see that.
Yeah.
They know that. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like right now, I got a nephew who's being recruited, and I'm telling him the same thing all the time. My daughter is kind of freaking out a little bit because she got some girls on her team that have signed with, committed to South Carolina and Virginia and Ole Miss and a couple other schools. I'm like, baby, look, it doesn't matter. Go and play and be happy. And, as long as you're happy, it doesn't matter. Now, eventually you get some calls from Ole Miss, and it depends on whether you're happy, where you go to. And it's kind of different with girls just because of the professional level isn't the same. But if I was a guy and I'm talking to a player at any level, go and play because you're going to be seen. Professional scouts know how to find you.
Awesome. That's great advice. Kendall, thank you so much for coming on. Two-time, not once, 2-time Super Bowl winner, and about to be a winner this week with Auburn, and we're excited, and hopefully next week as well. We're excited.
Just 1 second. I do have to ask, I know we're not going to do rapid fire tonight, but Kendall, I do got to ask you one rapid fire question, which is, what is your favorite home cooked meal?
Oh, God, you put me in that spot like that, man. Okay. If I had to go back to it with my Mississippi roots, you give me some collard greens or turnip greens, one of the two, fried chicken, my mama's Mexican cornbread, and you finish it off with some Bluebell ice cream.
Okay.
With a little peach cobbler or something like that.
Sweet. Well, now that we're all hungry.
Yeah.
Also, before you go, can we get a War Eagle out of you?
War damn Eagle, baby.
There we go.
Kendall, thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate your time. You've been very generous. And best of luck with everything with you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Hey, good luck with your show for the future. Appreciate y'all reaching out. Hey, y'all make sure y'all check out their podcast. They're doing a good job.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate the reaching out. Ask great questions. They're very informative. Y'all make sure y'all check them out.
Kendall, thank you so much, man. Two-time Super Bowl winner.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
That was Kendall Simmons, two-time Super Bowl winner with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And go Auburn. I know I'm a Georgia fan, but go Auburn.
War Eagle.
Yeah. You're an LSU fan, but we're rooting for them.
I have it written down with my name on top of it in the Milwaukee Harley-Davidson Museum.
Okay, yeah, but I also have like proof of you in text messages going for LSU. Just be honest. You don't have to lie because he's big and he could, he's a big guy and he can kick your ass. You don't have to be.
Absolutely. But tomorrow, when we have Spencer wear a LSU,
then you're going to be a Tigers fan.
I will be wearing my LSU Tigers shirt.
But Kendall Simmons, awesome guy, two-time champion. We'll be back tomorrow with more. What a show.
Yeah, that's all I can say at this point.
What a show. All right, guys. Get your sign off, my man. Your sign off.
I did. I said stay
safe.
safe.
Sorry. You froze. You got to do it again.
As always, guys, stay safe, stay well, stay hydrated.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.